Hi, great to see you. Hi, everybody who's coming on. Wonderful to be here with everybody. Thank you for being here. This is my little Adar snail on my glasses. If anyone wonders what kind of little pink thing I have hanging around, it's just remind us that it's Adar, and we can be a little bit out of the box because it's Adar. So it's okay. Actually, we found it hanging around while I was cleaning up, and my daughter hung it on my glasses. So I said, okay, I'm just gonna leave it here. That's it. Now it fell off, didn't it? So this is my little Adar snail. So here we go. Nope, keeps falling off. Okay, guess it didn't want to hang around. How it is there. Okay, so here we are, Parshas Truma. And I just want to give a little call out that it's now been a whole year since we've had Hermanti. It's been a whole year of Parshas where we've been going through the Torah each week and getting together. I want to thank everybody who it's because you keep showing up that I keep showing up. And so want to thank everybody for being here so that we can, Be'ez Hashem, have this space called Hermanti. And Mazel Tov that we've been here for a year, and may Hashem help weiter gelernt that we'll carry on Be'ez Hashem, learning in this space, continuing to learn the holy parshas and to take the lessons of Rav Asher Freund Zechat Livracha to heart. So
Amen.
today, Amen. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, everybody. Parshas Truma. They're really earth-shaking words. V'yitchuli Truma, Kadosh Baruch Hu says, take a Truma, so that v'shachanti b'soicham, that a Kadosh Baruch Hu is going to dwell within us. And Chazal teach us, b'soich kol echad ve'echad, that a Kadosh Baruch Hu's dwelling is within each and every one of us. And Rav Shach Zechat Livracha said that the Ikar Hashras Shechina, the main place where the Shechina dwelt, even in the time of the Beis Hamikdash, was B'Soich Kol Echad Ve'echad B'Yisrael. The main place where the Shechina dwelt was inside every one of Klal Yisrael. That's the main place Hashem wants to dwell. And yet, we don't always feel it. And the Rambam says that a person can strengthen. I'm so grateful that you've been here. A person can strengthen their awareness of the Shechina with us, of the Hashgacha Pratis of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in our daily lives. We can strengthen it so that it becomes something that we are aware of all the time. Or, says the Rambam, a person can lose contact with it, and a person can distance himself from it so that little by little it becomes, he has no access to it and he doesn't sense it at all. And it's up to us. It's up to us to feel, to pay attention to the Hashgacha Pratis. This is what we spoke about. Was the last week or the week before about Shema, listening. What are we listening to? Here, Yisroi. What did Yisroi hear? He heard the Hashgacha Pratis. And he came because of the Hashgacha Pratis, because of the individual experience of a Kadosh Baruch Hu that each in every one of us has. And it comes down in every single aspect of our lives. When it came to the man, when it came to the manna that was brought down for Klal Yisrael to eat and sustain them. Everybody received their manna, their apportioned lot, according to where they were holding an emunah b'tachon at that time. And we will experience a Kadosh Baruch Hu in our lives according to how we are tuned into Kadosh Baruch Hu and how we want to experience him in every time. It doesn't mean that we will experience him always the way that we want. And experiencing Hashem in our lives doesn't mean that we always get exactly what we're looking for. It doesn't mean Hashem's going to answer our prayers always. And it also doesn't mean that we only have Hashgacha Pratis if we have the positive result that we want. That's not what Emunah B'Tachon means. And the Sas Emes says that even if we daven to Kodesh Baruch Hu for something, and we don't get what we're looking for, we don't get what we're hoping for, if we have Emunah and B'Tachon, if we have faith and trust in Hashem, He will show us why we didn't get it. He will help us to be privy to understand what was going on and how Kadosh Baruch Hu was guiding us, even though we didn't get what it was that we wanted. So whether we receive what we wanted, whether we don't receive what we wanted, whether we're out of pain or whether we're still in the pain, whatever the situation is, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will guide us to understand when we approach our life situation with emunah and bitachon. It will help us to see and to feel that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is with us, whether or not we are in the situation that we want to be in. And for so many of us, I don't think anybody has all of their little ducks lined up the way that they want. That's not the way Kadosh Baruch Hu runs his world. Kadosh Baruch Hu runs his world in such a way that some things seem to be just amazingly, miraculously on the positive side, and some things were like, well, it seems like so miraculously, but on the negative side, it seems to be dafka not working out. No matter how much effort I put in, this doesn't seem to change. And that's hashgacha pratis too. It's not an absence of hashgacha pratis. And when we approach those situations with emunah and bitachon, that Hashem loves me, that Hashem is with me in the midst of all of this, that there is some reason that I cannot understand because the Kadosh Baruch Hu is so much bigger than I could even fathom, way bigger than I can think, way bigger than I could imagine. Even the 13 principles of faith of the Rambam, one of them says that the physical brain cannot grasp HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Nothing within us can grasp HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The greatest, most profound thinking cannot grasp the finest edge of understanding HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So, of course, we can't understand what HaKadosh Baruch Hu is planning and what he's doing, but he's here and he's in everything. And that way of thinking is the way of thinking, the Hemanti way of thinking, the bitachon and emunah way of thinking is no matter where I am, whether I'm experiencing world as Gan Eden or whether I'm experiencing it as a form of Gehinnom right now, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is here with me. And through that way of thinking, I will strengthen my awareness of the Shekhinah within my life. And if I walk away from that, and if I ignore the hashgacha pratis, and if I deny hashgacha pratis, and if I look for the sort of the mikra chas v'shalom, which is the opposite, that just thinking that it's just happenstance, that it's just bad chance that came my way. The deck of cards was stacked against me, and all these kinds of chas v'shalom ways of thinking. That will lessen my connection to the Shekhinah with me until I won't be able to feel it anymore. It doesn't mean it's not with me. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is there all the time, but my awareness of it can weaken and weaken and weaken. So, HaKadosh Baruch Hu commanded Moshe Rabbeinu in how to build the Mishkan. And Rav teaches us 3 basic rules in building the Mishkan, and they are 3 basic rules that we have to understand about life. Number 1, Me'ez Kol Ish. Everyone in Klal Yisrael, without exception, should give a Truma for the Mishkan. Every single one of us has a contribution. Not only we ourselves, that we can look at ourselves, that we have a contribution, but every person we see, every single member of Klal Yisrael has their own unique contribution, no matter where they are right now, no matter what they've been through or what they've done, no matter what journey they're on and where they now find themselves. Everybody has their own unique contribution. That the Mishkan is not complete without them. We might think, well, only the holy ones, they're the ones that we should be building the Mishkan. Rav Ashi says, no, every single member of Klal Yisrael has a contribution, and if their contribution is missing, the whole Mishkan is not completed. So we, all of us, and every single person in Klal Yisrael has a unique contribution that everybody needs to bring. Me'ez Kol Ish, every single person. The second klal that we have to learn, that they should contribute from their heart, that they should give from their willingness and not through coercion. That's the second important rule in general, that whatever we contribute needs to be a contribution from Ratzon, from the will. We learn out from this, Chazal say, Rachmana liba boy, Kadosh Baruch Hu wants the heart. I'm talking about that more. And Thirdly, in the building of the Beis Hamikdash, every single aspect and design had nothing to do with the thoughts of man. We didn't have no person had was able to sway the design or come up with some original path of creating the design, but everything was halacha Moshe Sinai, was given from HaKadosh Baruch Hu to Moshe Rabbeinu, and no one from down here changed the plans. We all needed to contribute the lower dwelling, they had to contribute the materials without which it couldn't be built. But how it was going to be built, the reason, the plans, down to the smallest details of the flowers and every piece of the vessels that were going to be born was all the mind. Can't even call it the mind of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Mind is already attributing some kind of physicality to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But again, we use the word just to be able to express in our language the way that we could understand the thoughts of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu isn't a mind, and even attributing the highest intellectual capacity to HaKadosh Baruch Hu is also. So Hashem doesn't have a mind, but the instructions all came only from HaKadosh Baruch Hu down. And so the details of how were only HaKadosh Baruch Hu's. And these are vital elements in our understanding how we live and what our contribution is. We're not going to be changing halachas. We're not going to be changing, the hows of the mitzvahs. But we do have not just a valuable contribution, but a vital contribution in the what is going on down here, what we contribute. And we could even say that this is part of what it says in the Megillah, as Mordechai said. Maybe where you are now is in order to be able to help the Kaiser in a time of need. And if you are silent now, Revach v'atzala yavay laYehudim mimakom acher. If you don't stand up and use the benefit of your influence for the king, now the Yidden are going to be saved, but you will have lost the chance to fulfill this vital role in Klal Yisrael. You will have given up your chance to fulfill your role. So we could opt out of fulfilling our mission because the Kadosh Baruch Hu wants it to be a nadav liba. It wants it to be given from the heart. We have a vital contribution, each and every one of us, in the role that Kadosh Baruch Hu is giving us. And that's why we're in the position that we're in right now, wherever we are. Esther Malka found herself in the horrific situation of being married to a depraved monster. And through that position, she was able to save Klal Yisrael. And Mordechai, Baruch Hashem, she had a wonderful Mordechai in her life who was able to tell her, it's because of this. You can choose now to save Klal Yisrael. He didn't say you have to do it. But if you don't do this, you'll be missing your chance to fulfill the purpose for your whole life. And each one of us has that call. Each one of us, wherever we are, whatever situation that we're in, we're being called to contribute from who we are into where we are. And usually it's the hardest of the situations. It's the most confounding of situations that are the call, because that's the uniqueness of our lives, is where we are in those kinds of situations. And that's why we're there, to do something that will save Klal Yisrael, meaning building the Mishkan. Only we, where we are, can contribute from our hearts that which is needed for the building of the Mishkan. Mishkan means shachen. The root of the word of Mishkan is Shechina, is the dwelling. Each one of us has a special place where HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to dwell down in this world. As we said, Shach said, the most important place, even at the time of the Beis HaMikdash, the most important place where HaKadosh Baruch Hu dwells within each and every one of us. And only each individual ourselves can create our own Mishkan Shechina, our own place where the Shechina can dwell. And if we don't do this, if we don't bring our contribution, then as at Uveis Avich Toveda, then we're going to lose the contribution that would be uniquely ours. We'll be lost back in history and have to come back again, Rahman Islam. Right? One life is enough. We don't want to have to come back and do it all again. So let's get it right. Let's Be'ez Hashem, step up, fulfill our tikkun, become a Makom Hashras Shechina, become a place where the Shechina can dwell, and build our own Mishkan. The Rasha says that after this we don't have a Beis Hamikdash. The Beis Hamikdash, both the Beis Hamikdashes were destroyed, Rahman Islam, and we don't have a place to bring the korbanos. But Chazal teach us that in the absence of the Beis Hamikdash, learning about the korbanos can be a kapara. But he asks why? How could it be if that just a theoretical learning, when we don't have any way to put it into practice, how could that be an exchange and a kapara, the same as when we had a Beis Hamikdash, when we brought the korbanos? And he answers, because each and every one of us can make a mishkan out of our own homes, out of our dwelling. How? By doing the mitzvahs of the Torah. It's actually extremely simple. Not that the mitzvahs are simple, but I'm trying to remember which. It was the Vilna Gaon who, on his deathbed, he took his tzitzis in his hand, started crying, and the Talmidim surrounded him and they asked why was he crying, and he said, "I'm leaving a world where for a few zlotys you can buy a beged and wear a tzitzis." And that's the same with every single mitzvah. There's no end to the depth and the profundity of every single mitzvah. But there's also, we cannot take the Torah out from the pshat, meaning the simple performance of the mitzvah is absolutely valid. And when a child, when we give a little child to say a bracha, and they say a bracha, let's make a bracha, Baruch Atash, Doinai Eloheinu, Melech Ha'ilam, Shehakal Ni'eh B'dvarei. When we say a bracha, we are creating a makom hashras ashchina. Of course, there's no end and limit to the great kavanas a person can have, but just saying the words themselves is a mitzvah. And so, some people get prevent themselves from fully immersing themselves into Torah and mitzvahs because I'm not good enough, my mitzvahs aren't good enough, I don't have the kavanah. That's not what Hashem wants. He wants us to rejoice with what we can do and look aspirationally at what we can't yet do. We aspire to keep improving, but we're not supposed to be punishing ourselves or knocking down ourselves if we're not yet bigger than we presently are. We can presently do whatever we can do, and we can have joy for that, and we can aspire to do more. So, Kodesh Baruch Hu commanded Moshe to say to Klal Yisrael that they should give a Truma to build the Mishkan, but only those who their heart prompted them to give. The Truma, the contribution, was not an obligation, and nobody was coerced or forced to give. Remember, this was the second point that we mentioned. This is the one we're going to be talking about today. It was announced in the camp that Hashem Yisbarach was asking Klal Yisrael to erect a Mishkan that would be a place for the Shechina and Klal Yisrael. Make me a mikdash, and I will dwell within them. Why Bemes didn't HaKadosh Baruch Hu establish a madbis and say everybody now has to come and give a certain amount, that there would be a certain tax, a certain levy on everybody, and everybody would come and give? Why didn't they do that? Why did they have to wait for everybody to volunteer to bring what they would bring? But this was because that was what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted. He wanted to arouse within the hearts of Klal Yisrael the desire to give. And he wanted to also witness and see what was the readiness within each one of us. How much did we want to come and establish a place where the Shechina could dwell? Because that's the most important element of our service of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is the wanting, is the willingness and the seeking. How much are we mevakesh the Shechina? How much do we seek out that the Shechina should dwell within us? Because the the indwelling of the presence of a Kadosh Baruch Hu within Klal Yisrael is not just a spiritual bliss. Okay, let's listen very carefully. It's not just a blissful kind of hyper spiritual experience. It's much more than that. The dwelling of the Shekhinah within us is a responsibility as well. Of course, there's going to be an elevated spirituality, which comes with elevated accountability. That's the flip side of it. When we're in a relationship with somebody, we have a responsibility to that person. Every relationship comes with its own kind of responsibility. A mother has responsibility to her children. There's a bliss about being a mother. And the poems and writings that have been written about motherhood, scan the globe. And yet, there's a tremendous responsibility that comes with that. So the bliss of any relationship comes with the side of the responsibility that with the presence of the Shekhinah comes the awesome awareness of the Shekhinah within our home, so that we will live the mitzvahs of Hashem and the Ratzon Hashem. And again, Reb Asher goes back to one of his eternal themes, which those of you who've been here before will hear, that theme of how repulsive is gaiva and pride in the eyes of a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Chazal say in Brachas, the one who goes with his nose held high, he says, koimas kufa, with like standing so straight, meaning so proud of himself. A person who walks like that, even Daled Amos, even 4 Amos, a short amount, but he goes, full as if he's full of himself. He walks around like a puffed up peacock. Okay, it's as if he's knocking away the presence of a Kadosh Baruch Hu, because the Shekhinah cannot dwell in such a person. The Shekhinah only dwells within a humble person. A person who is proud cannot give a Truma to the Mishkan with a whole heart. So part of this giving process is to weed out the Balei Gaiva, is to weed out the prideful people. Only a person who is humble can truly desire to live with the awareness and accountability of a Kadosh Baruch Hu. A prideful person will never be accountable. A prideful person will always blame somebody else and will never take responsibility for their actions. Accountability is one of the primary signs of a healthy psyche. If someone can take accountability for what they do, be responsible, they can have the Shekhinah dwelling within them, and they can gain a deep awareness of the Shekhinah within them. A person who lacks accountability, a person who refuses to be responsible for their actions and for the harm that they cause, they're not going to make way for the Shekhinah. They don't want the Shekhinah around, and they're not going to be able to bring their donation to create this holding vessel for the Hashras Shekhinah. So Reb Asher is explaining to us that this process of each one coming to contribute is actually to give everyone an opportunity to become humble enough to say, I want this. I want the presence of the Shekhinah. I want to be accountable. There's a humility in being accountable to Kadosh Baruch Hu, which a prideful person cannot be. And so the establishment of the Mishkan is, as it were, anathema to a prideful person. He doesn't want it. And so if he decides that he's going to break his midas, he's going to work on himself, and he's going to come and bring something, he's going to have to modify his character traits. He's going to have to move himself over a little bit within himself to create a place for the Shekhinah. And that effort of bringing his contribution is going to help him to do that. And then his contribution will be what a Kadosh Baruch Hu wants. And so this whole idea of coercing a person, forcing a person, we cannot grow through coercion. And a client spoke to me recently, and she said, that she had been struggling with so many different parts of Yiddishkeit because her father was exceptionally coercive, and he didn't. There was no room for a person to have their own individuality in the home that she grew up in. Everything was just rammed down their throat. And she said she was struggling even with something like lighting candles. Okay, um, she was doing it, but she felt a resistance whenever she came to do it because it was surrounded by the whole everything was always surrounded by so much coercion. And she said this last week she found herself able to push aside all of the coercion and connect to the essence of the mitzvah and light with the joy that she had not been able to experience in her life so far, because she was able to separate it from everything that her father had unfortunately ruined within her. Another client of mine, after she got married, her husband found it incredibly difficult to wake up for davening. He couldn't go out to learn. Baruch Hashem, he was able to be accountable, and he went to therapy. At the time that I was working with this client, her husband had been in therapy for over a year, and he still was not able to get up to daven in a regular minyan. He would often get up daven at home. He wasn't able to go out and hold down a job because he had been so coerced by his father, to that he had to get up a certain time, and he had to he had to daven, and he had to learn, and he had to everything was with such a lack of his heart, lack of what he wanted, lack of pleasantness, that he found himself unable to force himself to do it. He didn't have any kind of inner motivation because it had been so completely destroyed because of the coercion that he'd experienced in his youth. So many of our youth are reacting to coercion in their lives, and we may not even be aware that maybe there've been elements of Yiddishkeit that we found that we were coerced to adopt, and we may be rebelling in our own self. And so, just as the Baal Gaiva has an opportunity to repair himself through coming to the place of, I want the Shekhinah, and so I'm going to attempt to find this desire within me. So anybody who has found themselves put off by coercion can find a place of healing through discovering their own Ratzon within themselves. Each and every one of us, whatever it is, beginning to find the light where. So what is it that I want? What is it that I want in my connection with the Kadosh Baruch Hu? And from the place of Rahman Liba boy, from the place of what does Hashem want and what do I want? Hashem wants my heart. He wants me where I am, in the place that I am, without demands. But he wants to know truly where I am, and he wants me to want him. He wants me to want the Shekhinah to dwell within me down here in this world, wherever I am. And that's how we can begin to heal from whatever it is, whatever kinds of coercion that we found ourselves in, whatever kinds of situations. And we also need to recognize that this is not a healthy relational mechanism. There should be no coercion at all in our families, not between husband and wife, not with children, not in any Torah or mitzvahs. If a person is experiencing that they are being coerced, that there's some kind of forcing to do any kind of aspect of Jewish life, they should reach out for help, reach out to a Rav, reach out to a mental health professional, reach out to the Das Torah who can understand these things. And there is a very extreme form of abuse, which is called coercive control, which many people may not be aware of, but it's where there is such a level of controlling and coercion within a certain relationship that the victim actually has no peace at all. He has no sense of agency in any area of their lives. And if it may even be, they might even feel that it's a danger to reach out for help. Take a walk, make a phone call, try and get some help. It is not a healthy place, and Hashem doesn't want us to be in those kind of situations. It's clear that these guidelines, the exact definition of coercion is forcing another person to do something against their will. All right, that is coercion. Forcing someone against their will. And an individual may not force another person to do something against their will. And we learn that from this parsha. Avodas Hashem, serving Kadosh Baruch Hu, is never against a person's will. When it's children, and we want to teach them how to fulfill mitzvahs, we want to motivate them. We want to encourage. We want to provide incentives. All of these are absolutely kosher. But coercion is absolutely not okay. I'm going to look in the chat. I see there was a question. Now, how do I help my 28-year-old who was forced by his father and he left Torah life? So the only way to do it is to create positive motivation, to create sweet connections with the Torah, to understand what they went through, to not blame or shame anybody who left Rahman Islam, left the Torah because of coercion, okay? Because they were abused, and we cannot judge somebody who went through the trauma of abuse. We must not judge. So withhold all judgment, and children come back. Okay, the wonderful and amazing news is that when children, often in later life, they often gravitate to communities where there are non-judgmental kinds of, let's say, davening and things in place, maybe in Breslov or in Chabad, or more open, or Asia Torah, different kinds of communities where there is a much more outreachy, sweet kind of approach, and many people will find their way back to those more accepting kinds of communities if they don't get further turned off and judged on their journey. And so if we continually hold space, keep the relationship without judgment, and simply radiate the joy that we have in the Torah, we can invite them to be a part of the joy that we have and share the joyous parts, and hopefully rekindle. Hopefully there was some kind of joy that they had at some point in their lives, and in a safe space, hopefully they will be able to reestablish that. I just want to share before we finish a beautiful email that I got this week that I wanted to share with everybody here. I hope this message finds you well. I took your Jewish Positive Thinking course about 13 to 14 years ago in Sanhedrin Morchevet in Yerushalayim, and I wanted to share with you how deeply it impacted me. I truly connected to it, and it gave me the confidence to make some very meaningful life changes, Baruch Hashem. Recently, I decided to reconnect with the course. I've been listening to the classes on Kol HaLashon and doing the guided imagery exercises. Baruch Hashem, I'm already seeing Yeshuas. I've also drawn my sisters into it. I shared the links with them. And we even have a WhatsApp group to follow up and support each other, each for her own Yeshua. Thank you so much for the inspiration and chizuk that you give. I've long felt that I owe you a note of recognition, and I wanted to fill in some details in the previous email that I sent. At the time that I first began, 13 to 14 years ago, I had several young children living in a small, rundown apartment. I worked 2 jobs to support my family and had neither time for myself nor real family support. Life was intense, and I knew that something had to change, and that I was the one who needed to make that change. That's when I enrolled in Jewish Positive Thinking. I even hired someone to take over my GAN for the duration of the course. Throughout the program, I gained the confidence to eventually close my GAN, even though it was my fixed income and paid my rent. It simply wasn't working anymore. My children were coming home at 1, and I was only finishing at 1:30. I realized I needed to be present for them. B'chasdei Hashem, I went on to open a store, which you probably heard of, and then she gave me the name of the store, which is a very famous store in Yerushalayim, which has been doing very, very well, Baruch Hashem. And from there, the rest is history. As you know, running a successful business depends heavily on having the right people. Recently, I went through a challenging period where several employees left. I kept reminding myself that it was Min Hashemayim. While they weren't the right fit, I truly needed exceptional staff, which is not easy to find. I recognized this as a clear message from Hashem that I needed to strengthen my emunah and bitachon and reconnect with Jewish positive thinking. After practicing the guided imagery, awaiting success from Hashem for around a week or two, Hashem sent me a wonderful manager to replace the previous one. I'm once again listening to the classes, practicing the guided imageries once or twice a day for my hopes and dreams in all areas of life. I'm certain that without Hashem, I would not be where I am today, with deep gratitude. So I'm just calling out to everybody who's listening to this class. If you want to listen to the life-changing Think Positive course on Kol Lashon, you can search me on the website, or you'll find the numbers in the email with this recording, or on the YouTube with the recording. And if you ever want to take it to the next level and get relief from emotional pain, you can book your free session with the link in the description here, where we'll work together to get a crystal clear vision of how you want to feel without the emotional pain in your life, and uncover the hidden challenges that could be sabotaging your success in relationships or in any area of life. And you'll leave the session re-energized and inspired to end the emotional pain and live within a peace. Just because we can take a lot of pain, it doesn't mean we have to, and we can get emotional relief. If anybody has a question you want to type back in, or if anybody wants to unmute yourself and speak up, I'd love to hear from all of you special ladies who are on the line. Hi.
Hello, Chaya. I wanted to speak. This is Shirley. First of all, thank you so much for the amazing class. I wanted to say that I'm another person that you guided through life. I had a class with you, and your wisdom and knowledge with I just shared a little bit of information, and you read the whole thing, and you told me exactly what was going on and what I needed to do, and spending time with you is really transforming, and it's like really healing, and we are very, very blessed to have you and to learn from you, and you're truly a vessel of God, and I feel very, very fortunate and blessed personally to learn from you, and I want to thank you on behalf of myself and many other women that you changed their lives. I know you may get an email from me or other people or this lady from time to time, or people may thank you, but I just want you to know, for every phone call, email, or message that you get, there are thousands of other women that have been inspired by you that you may not even hear from. And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing, because if everybody sends you messages, you're not going to even have time to get prepared for the classes or do anything else. You just have to sit and read all the messages and all the things. And, yeah, you don't have enough time for that. So we love you, Chaya. Thank you.
Thank you, Shirley. Thank you so much. I really, so incredibly touching. Thank you very, very much. I'm so grateful. Really, so grateful to be able to help. Thank you. I'm really grateful. Thank you. Yeah, anybody else want to say something, share something? Hi, Linda.
Right. I wanted to say that I've been with you about 7, 8 years, and I've really have changed for the best. And I am so grateful. I mean, I'm going to, God willing, be 74 on my next birthday. And I can say that I'm facing my golden years, if you want to call them that, with so much more emunah, so much more contentment, and understanding how to navigate through them, through you. So I want to say thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And with your encouragement, I'm getting a story published in Ami magazine.
Whoa! Mazel tov, amazing. For Purim, amazing.
I'm really
okay.
So thank you.
Okay, Ami, everybody, watch out for the Purim, Ami. Is it your name? Is it your, or is it going to be an opinion? Okay, look out for Linda's. Anyone who wants to get the Purim Ami, go ahead, and you'll see Linda's article. Okay, exciting. That's really exciting. Mazel tov, beautiful.
I thank you for giving me the encouragement to reach the potential.
Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. That is beautiful. Amazing news. Great job. And you put in the hard work. Amazing. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your kind messages in the chat.
Hinda, can I say something?
Yeah. Hi. Go ahead.
I just want to second and third and fourth and a millionth time what Shirley and Linda said. I couldn't have said it better myself, especially the email that the person sent you. I feel like all your teachings are like that's back to the basic. Like every situation, everything that you ever taught, I always feel like whatever I think about what has to be applied in life, it's always back to what Chaya Hinda says. I don't know, it just always is. It's just everything is, because I feel like you have the most solid foundation from any person I ever worked with, or from any healer, anybody. I think you have the most solid foundation, and I think about you every single day. I don't really think that you know the impact of what you have, of what you have over people. Like I'm saying, what you bring to people and how you change their lives. And it really is remarkable and extraordinary. And what a zchus you have. So I wanted to thank you, even if I don't express it all the time, but that's what's in my heart. I always think about you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I want you to know, I try to only base myself on Torah sources or on research, that's printed, so that it's not from me. It's a Torah source, and I know that that's what we all appreciate. We appreciate and value the truth of the Torah. So if we're basing ourselves on the truth of the Torah, Be'ez Hashem, we're gonna see Tzad Lishma and Hatzlacha, Be'ez Hashem. And of course, we're allowed to understand the research of the present times and understand the derech hateva, the way Kadosh Baruch Hu created the world, and use the world the way it's meant to be used. So Kadosh
You
Baruch Hu
bring
gives
the
us that.
Torah to us so we can understand it.
He gives us the Torah so we can understand the world. Yes, it's true, but meaning according to, for example, in the class on healing, where we talk about that using guided imagery has been proven by research as a very as a truly effective way of changing the way that we feel, which changes our health, and we can really impact our health through listening to guided imagery and through feeling positive. So Kadosh Baruch has given in our hands hishtadlis that are appropriate and scientifically proven to be effective, in addition to emuna and bitachon, which are, those are spiritual practices, but we also have physical practices that are appropriate. And so when we go according to those kinds of guidelines, where we stick to what is known and we stick to the Torah that Kadosh Baruch has given us, Be'ez Hashem, we will have Siyata D'Shmaya. And so I daven for continuous Siyata D'Shmaya. Thank you all for being here. And I said I celebrate a year of this Hermanti space. It's because of you. Thank you for showing up, for being here, for supporting, and showing that it's worthwhile. It's worthwhile doing, and I'm so grateful, because for me, having gone through a year of the Torah with the Parsha with Rabasha, that was a very special space for me. So thank you all. Wishing everybody a wonderful, beautiful, restful Shabbos, and see you next week. B'ez Hashem. Bye-bye.